All right, everyone, let's get this party started. Afternoon at Creator Lab NAB show. We have a great afternoon of content here. I hope you're all fueled up because we have so much good stuff. And then guess what? We have a party afterwards right here from 5 to 6 p.m. Black Magic will be buying you drinks. So everybody got to come back for that. But before that, we have amazing things here. Oh, yeah, before I get started also, take a look at all the booths around here. There's some amazing things for creators everywhere. So in our breaks, when we're not chatting or maybe during the party, make sure you stop by each of the booths to see what's going on. So with that said, we are going to kick this off with a session about reinvention. Shari Alyse started her career in Hollywood as an actress, then made a pivot to become a multi-platform creator, host, author, and executive producer focused on purposeful and joy-driven storytelling. We have a video, which I think we want to take a look at right now.
I'm Shari, and I've been known as America's joy magnet for well over a decade. I've written books, I've spoken on stages around the world, and have appeared on dozens of shows talking about joy. My mission is simple: to help the world rediscover its joy. So I did what any joy expert would do. I set out on an adventure across the United States to find out the secrets to joy.
You know, I want to become a joy magnet. So I'm going to have to listen to what's going on over here from these guys. So this is all about evolving your voice, redefining success on your own terms, which apparently involves an RV with your face on it, and why it's never too late to connect with audiences in a whole new way. So please, big round of applause for Robin Raskin, founder of the Virtual Events Group, in conversation with Shari Alyse, founder, creator, host, and executive producer of Joy Magnet Media. Give it up to these guys.
Thank you. This is personally exciting for me because, well, how many of you are on at least round 2 of your journey in life, your professional lives, or round 3? And I think Shari's greatest message is, this is a journey and it ain't over. And you'll hear her story, which is kind of incredible, but I hope you take it all to heart and make it really personal to yourselves. When you think of the creator economy, you think of like YouTubers like who just got their braces off. But in fact, there are so many people following their passion as content creators. So, Shari, so talk about your life before joy, like before you had any, as an actress, right?
First, hello, everybody. Excited to be here. Thank you for having me. And Jim said that, you know, to be in America, to be a joy magnet, he'd love to be it. I was like, it comes with a lot of pressure to always show up. But life before was as an actress, as you said, really came to Hollywood from the East Coast, had the dream of stardom. And as lifed, and, you know, you're in your early 20s, and I was doing a lot of partying and hanging out and doing more that than auditions. I started this whole personal healing journey. And during this healing journey inwards, I realized that the more and more I discovered myself and parts of myself, the more I realized that I wanted to be myself and to no longer play a role. And that is where the emergence of a speaker came, and content creation, and really just putting the truth of who I am out there.
So that is such a big leap, because we all know in the acting community, you're always playing anybody but you. You are playing. And so now all of a sudden you have to bare yourself and say, I'm not going to play a role anymore. And I know there were some personal circumstances surrounding that for you, right?
Yes. So as part of the healing journey, you know, and I talk about this very openly, I experienced childhood trauma. And during that time, I learned to shut off my emotions and a voice. And I learned that the crowd and people and the applause was really what was making me feel alive. And the more and more, as I said, that I began to heal that part of me, I wanted to share this messaging. And when MySpace came along, and yes, I just aged myself. When MySpace came along and I had this opportunity to be able to post things on the bulletin board and all of these things that I was discovering and healing, I just started putting stuff out there because I was driven by this passion of wanting to make other people's lives better.
Yeah. No, and I think, like you, it comes as a pivotal time. I mean, I grew up in publishing in an industry where we didn't even say that we had children at home because then we were on the mommy track and would never. Yeah. And now you're at the MySpace generation where I'm going to say oversharing is the norm. And you came into it, but you had none of the skills. You weren't a script writer.
Correct.
You weren't a producer.
Correct.
You didn't know technology.
Correct.
So give us like what came first.
Yeah, well, I'll just say this about everything that I've done is that I just figured it out. And so really, with MySpace, just going all the way back there, it was like, here is a platform. I get to put my truth out there. Then YouTube comes along and I like, what? I could now share my message, via video. And so 2008 or 7, I put my first video out there. And, when you say about
right there.
yeah, when you talk about oversharing, people weren't, talking in their cars yet. I was probably one of the first people to put my, the phone with an app of a video recorder in my dashboard, calling it dashboard confessions. And of course, now that's all we do.
I love it.
Dashboard confessions. I was oversharing everything, and people were really pulled into that world. And of course, that world, there was the Real World at the time and MTV. And so for me, this was my own version of that.
It's astounding. And you developed the skills along the way. But how did you, I always call it, how do you take the elements of you and tie a pretty bow around them and package them? You're now in a van with your face on it, driving around the country, finding out what joy is to people. How did you get to that?
Yes.
Packaging.
So that packaging came through a lot of trial and error. That packaging came from having a dream within and always just saying yes to it. And so what that looked like for me was, okay, so now we've got YouTube and now there's Facebook, and now I can start just talking to people. And so I started my first online, interview series. And I started quite a few of those. Of course, now, like, that's all people do. But when I was doing it, it was novel at the time. And what I realized a few years ago is, I had this dream, this is going to age myself again, that I wanted to be the next Oprah. She changed my life at 12 years old, talking about her trauma. And so I was waiting for years for a network to discover me. I was waiting for years for someone to be like, Shari, she's the one we want. And then I finally realized you need to stop waiting and you just need to create whatever it is that you want. And so a few years ago, I took my own money and I invested in getting a studio, renting a studio, getting a team, and putting my own talk show together. And that talk show then has led to what you saw up there, which is Joy Drive, which is an 8-part docuseries that just came out last month, where I went around the U.S. talking to people about joy, but also a personal journey. My dad passed away last year from ALS. And so as America's Joy Magnet, I went to uncover and respark my own joy along the way.
And we can watch this. This is Tubi, correct?
It's not on Tubi yet. My other shows are on
Okay.
Tubi, but right now it's streaming on Binge Networks. It's streaming on YouTube. It's streaming on Apple TV, Roku. We're in talks with others right now, but I did that all through figuring that out, watching other people closely, seeing what distribution is out there, gauging interest first. Who would be interested in being on the show? Is there money for that? Everything has just been intuition led.
So you got a van with your photo on it. You've got the whole country. How do you figure out which stories you're going to tell? And tell us about some of the stories that you met on your trip.
Yes. So in my 20 years of work in the joy space, I have uncovered 5 pillars of joy. And joy is all about connection. And so when I was going to tell these stories, I knew I wanted to find people who fell somewhat into these areas. And then also, I'll be completely honest, money too spoke for me to be able to produce this. There were people who wanted, from my past of being on my show, guest sponsored. So some of my guests that were sponsored as well, but they had to fit into who it is that I wanted to talk to.
So you had to put on this business person's hat, figure out how you're going to pay for all this. You also didn't do this alone. You found a crew, right, to come on this journey with you. Tell us how you put those pieces together.
I laugh because I was introduced. I had someone first who had this crazy idea with me. He was going to do it all, go around the country. We were going to film on GoPros, on, Netflix cameras, on Osmo, on it all. And it was just one person. And I think that he wisened up because about a month before we were going to go, he backed out. And I flipped out. And then I said to myself, everything always works out. It always does. And a few days later, I was introduced to my crew, my production team in Memphis, at Memphis, Tennessee Creation Studios, who were the most incredible people. I met with them. We talked. They believed in this dream. They were willing to work with my budget, and their storytelling was out of this world. And they just got what I was doing.
And so now you're living in a van with these people half your age, right?
Yes. So the two people who came along were two guys in their 20s. And I am 51 years old, and my partner is, let's just say, a clean freak. And so traveling with complete strangers, the first thing these two guys do as soon as I meet them, first, they broke my coffee pot within a few minutes, which of course, now we have no coffee. But secondly, we're driving in this RV and they're taking sandwich bread and just plopping it on the counter with no plate, slapping peanut butter and jelly on, just leave. And I'm like, how is this supposed to be joyful? Like, my eyes are bulging from my head. So it was a lot to deal with this crew. But by the end, we ended up being family.
So give us some stats. You left from LA?
Yes.
And you drove how many miles?
8,000 miles, about 8,200 miles in 3.5 weeks.
And you knew you were going to stop an interview on the way because
Yes.
they sparked something. They had stories to tell that resonated with you.
Yes.
So tell us your favorite.
Oh, that's so hard. That's like saying choose a favorite child.
I do it all the time.
Well, personally, because of my dad, one of the people that I was meeting up with was someone who has ALS. And she helped during the time that I was navigating this with my dad. And her story is that even while facing death, she still chooses to live. So her and I spent a day in her life, and she is all about tattoos, and she still goes to her tattoo appointments. She has a full sleeve. And so we got a matching tattoo together. We went and had cheesecake for breakfast. And so her entire thing about joy is about creating intentional memories and just fully living. And so if there's anything inspiring, like when we think we have a problem, here is someone facing death who still chooses life.
So more stats. You now have how many hours of film did you shoot on this road trip of yours?
Probably over 1,000.
And you now have a post-production process that you also didn't know a whole lot about, right?
No. I mean, so my team did it all. They were the one-stop shop for everything. But they had never done this before either. They didn't do a reality show. Like, they had created, 2-hour documentaries, but this was going to be an 8-episode docu-series. And so, as I said, we had the Osmo, we had my iPhone for video blogs. See, I still say video blogs. I haven't gotten to vlogs yet. We had the Netflix cameras, and then we had GoPros. So when we got the footage, I was very hands-on because this has been a 20-year dream of mine, which I didn't mention, that after my dad passed, he was such a supporter. I decided I'm going to reduce my budget, simplify it, and get it made for him. And so I was very hands-on. And so they would create the story, the first draft, and then I would sit with them and we would go over every detail together.
So 8 parts, each one runs how long?
About 25 minutes.
About 25 minutes, which I think is a good storytelling part. And you are right there with each, you talked about the woman, but there are others that you give us another example of somebody that you.
Yeah. So I also did this, one who was with the official sponsor of our show. She is a poet, but she also runs a publishing company. And so she gave me 12 hours to be able to write spoken word and then get on stage and perform that same night. And so that episode was all about creativity. I learned Bollywood dancing from somebody. I cooked in a private chef's home in New Orleans. I mean, we did a lot.
Really put yourself out there. And probably still needed more and more. And the whole time you're running this business of finding distribution right from your van.
Yes. So, well, I had distribution for Good Morning Joy, which is my talk show.
And that's in LA.
And that's based out of LA. Yes. And so we were just shooting this first, and then we already have built-in distribution, but now we are working on getting this docuseries bigger distribution. But I was also writing a book.
That's right.
At the same time while we were shooting the show.
Right. You've got like 2 books out now.
Yes. Yes.
Also about finding joy.
Yes.
It's a big topic. And so I guess the takeaway, well, you've seen the creator lab and the creator economy. Do you feel like the old person walking into the room? Like, do we both or not?
100%. I do. And as I was listening to everybody, in all of these sessions and talking about fandom and all of this and, what creates success, how to measure creator success, I do not have all of the followers. I do not have all of the social, but what I do have, and that they mentioned, is I have the people who come to me, who send the DMs. I have the people who want to pay to be on my show and talk to me and be interviewed by me. I have stories that I am so passionate about and that I know that are changing lives. Yeah. And I get told that every day. And I've been doing this for 20 years, that being in the creator world, I feel privileged to be a part of this, as hard as it's been, because it doesn't come natural to hold my phone and create content. This is all stuff that I've learned. So I feel like I'm right in the middle. I'm like, mid-age.
Yes, but your passion has created, it's more than the docuseries. Uh-huh. You've got the books, you've got the talk show. What's next for you? Like, I know you're thinking all the time about how can I continue this brand?
Yeah, well, I plan on going international with Joy Drive. So Joy Drive Canada, Joy Drive Italy, Joy Drive, but we have to do more US because my goal is to get a much bigger sponsor network for Joy Drive, where we can really put the full budget that I know that it'll get, and then go international. The feedback's already been incredible for it. And what's interesting, I'll say this, is being from the original content creation space, and then also from traditional media, people were surprised to see the quality of content that I put out there. Even like my own friends and family, they were like, it's so professional.
So do you have tools, or do you have tools that you love that you use are you using transition effects, titles?
I use whatever is out there. I use Opus. I don't even know where they are, but I use them. I definitely use edits now on Instagram. I use InShot. I just use like whatever is the easiest for me, to be able to put it all together, but not for the big show. That was my team.
Yeah.
I'm talking more for my social.
Well, so the social plays an important part in your brand,
yeah,
right?
100%.
So, not to get dark on us, it's kind of bleak times out there to be talking about joy.
Yes.
Like, how do you do it? How do you keep finding it? And whether it's geopolitical, whether it's global warming, there's a lot of reasons to not be joyous at the moment.
Yeah.
How do you shine through that?
Because I know personally what dark times were, and I also know the work that I have put in to come out the other side. And I also have learned that joy and grief from my own grief can exist simultaneously. And nobody has ever benefited in the world from somebody withholding their joy. And during COVID specifically, when I was putting content out there and people were like, how do you do this? There's so much happening in the world. And I said, and I've always said this for 2 decades, well, what is the alternative? Am I going to continue to put stuff out there that makes people feel worse? Or am I going to do my part to show up and to shine some light? And that's the media I'm creating. That's what I will continue to do. And I won't stop.
It's funny. As a journalist, we always put out what's worse. Right? What could be worse? So let's ask you guys, how many content creators? And are you like, are you creating docuseries? Are you creating continual content? How many are creating content more than once a week? Okay. Outlets, YouTube, Insta, all of the
Cooler than
above.
me saying Insta. You said you're cooler than me saying Insta. I
Oh.
still would have said Instagram.
Practice. So you've got to give them advice now, and you are all invited to talk to Shari after we end this. But what would you say to people? I mean, you again came from traditional acting, did your time playing other roles, and then found yourself as a social creative.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
I think the most important thing is to always be true to yourself. And that's the thing that when I've tried everything that people put out there, this is the best marketing and these are the hooks and this is everything that you have to do. And I try it and I don't feel like myself often. I always go back to what that truth is. So that 7-year-old girl that spoke out on the witness stand, my truth, I continue to do that. And I think for anybody, it's to be able to do work that is authentic and real to you, that you're passionate about, to say yes to that spark inside. And so importantly, too, this is what I do. I announce things. This is random, but I announce things before I do them because it keeps me accountable. And so I said, I am going on this RV tour around the country for a show. And then everybody starts asking me about it. And I'm like, oh, shit, I better create this.
I better start a tour.
And so it's always, but that spark, that thing before I allow myself to talk myself out of it, that is what I follow and that is what I do.
So say it and then do it. But we are going to put up a QR code, I think, on how we can follow Shari in her adventures. If you have ideas and want to help her spread joy, you are an inspiration, you are a delight. And thank you so much for making the time to be with us. Thank you, audience, for being here with us.